Hello, I'm Debbie Dobbs, and my presentation today is on Bennis leadership theory on visionary leadership in nursing. The objectives for this course is at the inclusion of this presentation, the student will be able to summarize the components of Bennis theory of leadership. We'll be able to verbalize the development of Bennis theory of leadership and analyze the appropriateness of the use of Bennis theory in the current practice environment. Warren G. Bennis, you can see him pictured here, was practicing and between 1925 to 2014. He was an American scholar, organizational consultant, and author, and is widely regarded as the pioneer of the contemporary field of leadership studies. He spent his early years in the Bronx and joined the Army in 1943. He was an infantry officer and was one of the youngest infantry officers in the European theater. He was awarded the Purple Heart and the Bronze Star. He has a BA from Antioch College and earned his PhD from MIT in 1955 with a major in social sciences and economics. He was provost and of a couple of universities and was the university president of a couple before he began to teach. After a heart attack in 1979, went back to the University of Southern California. He was widely influenced by Dr. Douglas McGregor, who wrote the book Theory X versus Theory Y. That theory X is that you have controlling of or task enforced management versus theory Y, which is more democratic and more relationship driven. Dr. McGregor became Bennis's mentor and teacher, and he just really learned a lot of the things that you see in his theory and through all the books that he wrote throughout his career, the influence of McGregor. Mr. Bennis has written approximately 30 books. His first were written in the early to mid 1970s, and his most widely known book is probably On Becoming a Leader, which was published in 1989. He decided that he wanted to go and to learn a little bit about what the good leaders of the world were doing. So he and Nanis did some research. They surveyed about 90 leaders across the country. They came from different backgrounds, everything from sports to business. And they asked him such questions as, what are your strengths and weaknesses? What past events were the most influential in your development or influenced your leadership approach? What were some of the critical points in your career, and how did you use those in the later? He is probably best known for describing the difference between a manager and a leader, which we still talk about today. Dr. Bennis came forward with the theory. He has 4 major parts of his theory, and those are, the first of which is the clear vision of the future state. I've heard a lot of people say, how do you know where you're going if you don't know how you're going to get there? And that you need to be able to look at it and see the future. You have to be able to forge the future and be able to move on regardless of any obstacles that may be in your way. You have to be able to see the vision. You want to be able to see, what's it going to look like when I get there. You have to understand and develop and to know how you're going to get there. What is it you want to see? What are your most common things that are going to happen? And you have to be able to communicate that and frequently with lots and lots of follow-up with those that work with you. You have to encourage them and praise them and to say, you're doing a good job, and I like how you're thinking. You have to be the social architect for the organization, according to Bennis. You have to be an innovator. You have to be on the cutting edge. Never be satisfied with the status quo. Look to see what else you can do, what you can do better. Um, Good leaders learn from their mistakes. Um, I had a leadership course many, many years ago who she threw out, we called them Coxisms, Sharon Coxism. She still does some speaking and consulting today. But one of the things she said, always said to us was, learn the lesson, lay it down, and move on. In other words, don't dwell upon your mistakes. Don't say, oh my, coulda, woulda, shoulda. Learn the lesson and move on, because you're going to make them again and again. And what you have to do is to learn from. You have to manage change by constantly adapting and doing things different each time. Um, I think of that as rapid cycle improvement. You try something for a week or two, unless it's an epic fail the first day or first week, then you constantly tweak your system. So as you look at it and you're going through all of those are things that you have to be able to do. You have to focus on your lessons learned. Great leaders create trust in their organization. And if you read through his book and through his studies and the different things that they talked about, there's 4 things that you need to do. You have to be constant. These are 4 characteristics. You have to be constant. You have to stay the course. Don't give up. Don't be frustrated because things are not moving as quickly maybe as you would like for them to do. Just be consistent. Congruity and walk the talk. I've heard that's another thing that I've heard over and over in my leadership, is to say, it's okay if you talk the talk, but what I really want to know are you going to walk the talk? Are you going to do what you say and what you expect everybody else to do? And that is and the third piece is reliability. Reliability is something that's important regardless whether you're taking care of a patient or whether you're dealing with a staff member, and being able to just go with the flow and to say, I'm here for you. I'm not going to let you die. We're going to figure this out together. And then you have to be a person of integrity. You have to be able to do what you say you're going to do. Always, always. Never promise what you can't keep. And then the 4th is to use creative deployment of yourself. And this kind of goes along with all the different things that you have to bring together with experience. You have to know yourself. A lot of the things that we've been doing with these trait and styles and skills with leadership is to be able to know ourselves. What are we good at? What are we not? What do we need to work on? And Bennis tells us that we should work on and emphasize our strengths. Know the world as well as you know yourself. Know your environment. So many leaders just come in and start jumping in and say, we're going to do this, that's wrong, we're going to do that, we're going to do this. And really what you have to do is you have to get to learn the people. You have to get to learn the culture. You have to get to understand what's going on. And then you need to reflect on your past experiences. What did I do the last time something similar to this happened? Or is there something that I did that did not work? And learning from your mistakes. What do I need? I know that I'm not going to do that again. And then what you have to do as you're going through, and you have to make some difficult decisions, and as a leader you always do, you have to reflect on your past experiences and use those. I recently had to terminate a long-term employee who I loved dearly, and sweet, one of the hardest working people I ever knew, but she just rubbed patients and families the wrong way, or she would blurt things out to where Others would assume she was being rude. And then, and it came to, I worked with her and I worked with her, and she just wasn't going to do that. And I knew that I had to make that difficult decision to just terminate her. That quote that's at the bottom is so good. And this was what De La Rosa said is a summary of what Bennis's theory is. My reflection question to you, number one, is how does Bennis' theory of leadership fit into your personal leadership? What are your traits? What are your characteristics? Are these things that you can use to do? Because Bennis based primarily his theory on what are the differences between a manager and a leader, I think that lends itself well to looking at the strengths and the criticisms of the theory. A manager is reliable. They know if you want something done, you ask a manager. If you want work done, you give it to the management group. They are organized. They're going to get everything done that needs to be done. But they can be a little nearsighted. They tend to only look at their own unit or their own department and may not look at what the entire organization needs to do. They also may be resistant to change. I would be a rich woman if I had a nickel for every time that somebody told me, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They just don't want to change, and that includes staff as well as managers. Then you look at leadership. They're very inspirational. They're able to inspire people to do things and with great excitement. They're brainstormers. My boss is one of those brainstormer people. And she just is constantly thinking outside the box and saying, what if you did this? What if you do that? And when she first came to work and was my director about 5 years ago, she liked to have warned me out because I thought everything she said I was supposed to do. And it took a while for me to figure out that she was just brainstorming. But that is a great example of leadership. The other thing is the underestimation. Some of the criticisms that they may have is the underestimation. They may not know how to make it work. They may have great ideas, but they don't really understand all the pieces that need to go together to make the thing work. Excuse me, the project work and to get it going where it needs to be. And the other piece is attachment. They really just don't want to let go of that pet project. They're going to get it done by golly or else. And so that can be a little difficult at times. Application to practice. I've listed on the screen here 3 different things that I think are kind of interesting that applies to Bennis' theory of leadership in our department or in our institution. One is a high reliability unit. That is a unit that self-monitors bundles to prevent hacks on the unit. This vision was set up by our leadership, both hospital nursing, hospital quality management, and medical staff leadership. We're able to do that. It has taken me a lot of work and communication and to make the staff see what is most important for that. The pre-post unit is another one, as well as the nursing department restructure. Reflection is, what are some examples in your current practice environment that supports Bennis' theory of leadership? And you see here a list of the references. I had to look far and wide because he was an older theorist, but so much of it is still very vital and true today. Although I think the biggest thing that we find is that all managers and leaders have some of the other. You're not strictly a manager or a leader. Thank you very much. I look forward to hearing your comments.